Hi, friends. Are you a buyer who would love to buy your perfect home, but something is holding you back? Perhaps it's the interest rates where they are right now. Perhaps it's the prices that you're finding on the houses. Could be your credit, could be down payment. Whatever it is, something is holding you back. Well, I hear you and I feel your pain. So what I did was I went ahead and I had an interview with a very wonderful, excellent mortgage broker by the name of Gary Parsons with Momentum Mortgage. This was done a few days ago, and just right after that, the interest rates just went up a little bit more. So that's not what is important. It's important to what his message is about the raising or rising of the interest rates. So I went ahead with this video. It's only about 20 minutes long. And I do also want to apologize to you about the quality in the very beginning, but if you bear with it for about the first 30 seconds, the internet apparently was coming on and off. And there's some amazing, really great information in the video. So again, are you losing too much by waiting? Well, let's go ahead and find out. And here you go. Okay, well, I would like to welcome everybody to, if you are a buyer, what is going on with buying a house these days and getting into all the different details. I first would like to introduce Gary Parsons, who is with Movement Mortgage. I have known Gary for several years, and obviously choosing him, I know that he is an excellent mortgage broker. But gosh, I've known you since, I don't know, what, 2016 or 17 or something.
Yeah.
Here and there.
Yeah.
It's been a little while. So
It's been a while.
yes. So let me just turn it over to you, Gary, and welcome here to our discussion that we're having about buyers today.
Awesome. Well, I'm Gary Parsons. I've been in this business actually January 2017. I've been in finance for over 20 years. So that's my thing. I'm a numbers guy, always have been. I got into mortgages because I love to help families. So Jill, I want to thank you for allowing me to be one of your partners in the business. It's just been an amazing journey together. And it's so nice to work with folks that is knowledgeable and full-time in the business.
Thank you for that, and it's equally, you know, the feeling too, because we've certainly done a few different transactions together, and some of them learning a lot more than others, but we'll get into some of that if we have time today. I do want to start off by saying that anyone who is thinking about buying a house, whether you have any kind of a lifestyle change, this could be anything from any kind of marriage or divorce or probate situation or anything like that you want to go ahead and buy a house, you come to the right place, because right now we're hearing so many negative things. You know, like the housing market is going to crash, the interest rates are going to go up. We don't really know what's going to happen. We can kind of guess for the near future. But some of the things I want to cover today are so important, because it could be that you're missing out on more than what you think you are, and by waiting. So I want to start off with this one example. I have a cousin that purchased a house last year, but I was very surprised when I was talking to him that the details that he gave me about the time that he was renting. So he was telling me he was renting from about 2009 to about, well, 2022, about 13 years. He was renting a house in Pinellas County, in the Largo area. It was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house with a single car garage. He was averaging about $1,200 a month. And as we know, rents have gone up tremendously since then. It probably more like, if you on today's rates, it's probably more like $1,800 to $2,200. But as he was telling me about this whole situation where he was doing all this rent, and he's just kicking himself now for waiting so long to buy, because he estimated that he paid anywhere from $180,000 to up as much as $200,000 just in rent. And where did that go? Well, Gary, I know you can add to that, but yeah, I mean, he got nothing from that. So if you would, Gary, could you just tell us a little bit about the advantages of buying and why it's so important, and not losing all this money that you could have been using somewhere else?
Right. So, keep in mind that inflation, ordinary inflation or appreciation in your home goes up by 4.33% every year. That's a pretty good return on your investment. That also don't take into account the way the mortgage increases. You could buy a home 3 years ago for 177 and sold it last year for 310, and you got tons of money to help you upgrade or downsize or whatever. If you've been renting for 13 years and you paid into your rent $180,000, whose mortgage got paid off? Think about it. Yours or the person you was renting from?
Yeah, the landlord, of course.
Yeah. So you really help them out.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, that's exactly right, and that's why I try to encourage people. Hey, look now, and even though we know that the interest rates have gone up, I've looked at different charts in the past where the historic rate is probably anywhere from about, and I think you'll agree, the historic rate has been anywhere from what, 7 to 8% on the average.
Yeah.
The average historic rate, because we know it's gone
Right.
way up from there. And right now, where are we at with the interest rate?
So I am doing some decent loans for conventional around 6.625, and on FHA around 6.25. So I've been dancing with 5.99, but typically it costs a little bit to get there.
Yeah, so you can buy down. You can
Yeah.
buy down your interest
Yeah,
rate. Yeah.
absolutely.
So if you, I would imagine that if you can buy it down, it makes it better in
Right.
the long run, because you're saving so much more in the long run. And then of course, building up that equity in that house. Yeah.
Right. One other thing, Jill, when people are out and they're afraid to buy because, oh my God, the interest rate. So we're anticipating that interest rates are going to go down probably about midsummer. Going to be around 5.5. That's probably where it's going to land. But here's where you and me can work with our folks. You find them the house that works in their payment range. Just keep in mind, I will do, or my company will do, a refinance anytime up to December 31st, 2024, and the rate gets to where we love it, we will do a refinance for you at no lender cost to help you absorb, buy now, take advantage of the rate later.
That is incredible. I mean,
I love it.
just
Yeah.
when you told me that before, and I thought, wow, and I didn't remember you, and the fact that it goes through 2024 makes it even more incredible, because
Oh yeah.
that is really great, so that you can actually refinance it, and if it goes lower, then you're in better shape then. Yeah, so that's another reason why buy now, and don't get so wrapped up in what is going on. When you were saying that, as far as finding a house, I did want to also say too that finding a house is sometimes can be very frustrating, because buyers can't find what they're looking for. I actually belong to, and I can serve different areas. I've lived in Hillsborough County. I'm now in Hernando County. However, if someone is anywhere in the state, anywhere in the country, I have referral agents that I can, really top-notch agents, some of them a lot better than me. And they can, yeah, really.
I don't believe it.
Yeah, I believe it. but thank you.
I call you Jill. I call you the creative genius.
Oh, thanks. We'll get into one of those stories in a minute. But as far as finding the house, yes, I belong to 3 different MLSs and, covering this whole area, pretty much all over the state. And then also I have this program, it's called a Perfect Home Finder, where if you have a certain requirements that, or, things that you really want to see in a house, whether it be a pool or a school district or near the park or near the beach, or it has to be 3-bedroom or 2-story or 1-story, or all the floors on one floor, all the bedrooms on one floor, I can actually go and find that for you. And you work with Gary with your budget, and we'll go out and find it. And it will be off market, and the price will be within your price range, and you'll be the only buyer. So it's quite a program, and it really works. It has phenomenal success. But I want
to have with that, Jill, we have an upfront approval system.
Good.
So let me tell you what that means. Someone wants to buy a home from Jill. Jill refers them to me, and I get them qualified. What I do up front, before you go shopping for a home, I collect all the information I need that I know the underwriter is going to ask for. And I go through all those documents, I build the loan, and I then send out a pre-approval. What that means for you is, number one, the real estate agent, Jill, knows she's got a serious pre-approval. The listing agent knows that if they call me, I can say, yeah, they're already through my process. All we need to do is turn it into underwriting. Our system runs like this: 6 hours, it's called 671, 6 hours in initial underwrite, 7 days for processing, and 1 day for closing. Now, we don't want to push our luck, so I don't recommend anybody to close that quick, because it's really difficult. But if we're rescuing a loan from somebody else and they've already got all of those documents in and ready, we can do that. So that's very helpful. Less stress on me to do it that way, less stress on Jill, because we're not trying to collect stuff for 30 days and ruin good relationships.
And yeah, absolutely. And that is just phenomenal that you can, get the closing done in such a short amount of time. Whereas before it was a lot longer, a lot more nail biting. So it just takes away from the stress. And that's another reason to work with a good mortgage broker, because it can eliminate so much of the stress of things going on. And I want to comment too that, as far as the creativity, I just want to share this one story that you and I both worked on. It was about a buyer who needed to buy because the renting situation was not working out, because there were quite a few animals that, a landlord was not going to accept. So then it came across, okay, let's just go and buy something. And what happened was, we looked around a lot. There were certain criteria that she had to have. And it had to be close to relatives. It had to have a certain, like a pool. It had to, have a decent amount of property. So we found the right place and put the offer in. It was accepted, but however, there needed to be certain repairs made to the house. And the owner, the seller, just kind of threw up their hands and said, nope, not going to do it. And it canceled the contract. So I'm going, okay, what do we do now? So I actually, out of the box thinking, found an investor, to make the long story short, found the investor who actually bought the property, and in the end sold it back to my buyers, and they are living there just ecstatic even to this day. This happened about 3 years ago. So,
and it took so much stress away, because there was no deadline. He took all the pressure away by doing that.
Yeah. And, and it was just an unusual situation, but we somehow got it worked out, and you played a big part in that. So
I told you, you're the creative genius in real estate.
Thank you for that. And so anyway, yeah. So I mean that, I think that this, we didn't say it before, but with the kind of material that we were we are trying to cover today, this may end up being more than just this one video today. It might be something more extensive. We might do like a part 2 and a part 3 series. But as far as let's talk about credit. What about credit? We need to talk about some, touched on credit. Someone who has a low credit score, someone who has a high credit score, and I know you have some good examples on that.
Yeah, so keep in mind, Jill and I have, it's not just me and Jill, we've got a whole team around us.
Right.
So if you're looking for a home inspector, you need insurance, whatever the case may be, a well inspection, we've got a team built behind us for efficiency. So one of the things that I do, Jill finds somebody that really wants to buy a home. And we discover in the process that maybe the credit score isn't exactly where we want the credit score to be. To get a better rate, to get a better deal, maybe to qualify for a first-time home buyer, I can move a rate most of the time. I'm going to say about 80 to 90% of the time. I've got tools. It's called a what-if simulator. And what I do is I plug in, let's say if you pay your credit card from $300 to $10, and it raises your credit score 20 points. Sometimes it's just that easy, where they think they can never buy a home because of their credit score, but reality is it's an easy fix. So we have that. We also got folks behind us that if it's just more than Jill and I can handle, a good example is my son, who needed to raise his credit score 100 points, and it took my credit guy 6 months to get him over 640. So we do have those tools also. And then Jill goes gets them. I give Jill this blank check, and you a blank check, and it's like you go buy a bag of cookies, and the cookies are $9.99, and you have $10. You don't go buy a dozen and a half cookies. You don't have the money. So we get you ready up front, so you know exactly what your limits are, and not to go over it, but you can go up to it.
Yeah, and I think that brings up a good point too, that preparation, to buy a home is so important, as far as working with you as the mortgage broker, as far as working with me to get the right house and, one that fits the needs. And it just really, I've worked with people for right now. I'm working with someone. I think I've been working with them for a couple years now. They just haven't been ready, but now they're ready. They in March they're ready. So that's something that I stick with people because I know that eventually they'll be in a position where they're ready to buy. Someone may be ready to buy, they may not even know it. But going through the process with you. And they can figure out, yeah, I'm ready now, or no, I'm not, and and then kind of get all the details ahead of time. So I think that's really important to point out.
And the other thing that myself or the credit repair guy or whoever it is, when they're working with Jill, she can feel confident that I'm going to take them in, I'm going to work on their issues for as long as it takes, along with our credit guy, as long as it takes. And Jill has confidence to know it's coming back to Jill because she does a great job.
Oh yeah. There's we've worked out well together. I know that. So I think that as far as I'm sure there's if the audience was on live, they would be thinking a lot of different questions right now. I know there's a lot of different loans out there. Do you want to touch on just maybe a couple of them, or I know you've got dozens of different. You probably have a different type of loan for every different person. So
I do. I've got so many exciting programs that it gets me excited because it's just unbelievable what's really out there. So yeah, there's FHA, VA, conventional, USDA, but what you got to think about is a few things. How much money you got in your pocket? Do you have enough for down payment? Do you have enough for closing costs? So the programs, there's a lot of myths, like a conventional loan, you got to have 20% down. That's not correct. There's first-time homebuyer programs that can get a conventional loan as little as 3%, and also with a lower interest rate because they're first-time homebuyers. That's one example. Something I don't know if I brought up or not, but FHA March the 20th is lowering their mortgage insurance from 0.85 to 0.55. So if you think about that for a minute, if you got a $1,400 mortgage payment and the mortgage insurance goes down that far, I mean, that's a savings of $100 or $200 a month to help you have more buying power when you're out there shopping for your home. That's an amazing new, just came out of the government. They gave it to us. It starts March 20th. First-time home buyers. I can go probably for an hour with first-time home buyer products. And maybe we'll cover all of them on another video, but let's hit on some of them today. So for an example, we've got the HEROES program, and most everybody knows about the HEROES program. If you're a doctor, a nurse, a firefighter, you're serving your public, you're a hero. Yeah, so they're not only reduced interest rate, but it's up to $25,000 toward down payment and closing costs. So it's really a great program. If you're in Hillsborough County, there's a $25,000 down payment assistance. That'll pretty much cover everything, and even maybe get you a little bit off of your house payment, because we use it all, even if it's to reduce the principal balance. As far as there is first-time home buyer, all across Florida, there are certain programs in different counties even.
Yeah.
You can count on $10,000 pretty much from any county. Some of them, go up to $15,000 in Pinellas, which is really cool. Also, if you're in Pinellas, there's an additional $6,000 grant if you qualify for it for first-time home buyers. So one of these days, real soon, Jill, we'll go through all of those programs and let those first-time home buyers get excited so they can go out and buy with little or no money down.
I think that sounds like a good part 2 coming up, Ben.
It does.
Yeah, I think so. All the different loans that are out there and everything. We'll get into that. So Gary, how does someone go ahead, and what is the best way for someone to go ahead and reach you? And we'll try and put something in the comments or something like that as well when
right. So what typically happens, obviously they start with Jill. They're getting excited. They're wanting their real estate agent to go help them buy a house. And Jill gives them my information right up front, because in a kind way of saying it, there's no need to go look for a house you can't buy. So you start with Jill. Jill refers over to me or a lender to get them pre-approved, pre-qualified. So that's my job. You might be ready to go out that weekend. It depends on the situation, right? But before you go out, I'm going to have everything that I need up front, if possible. So when you go shop, I think I said this a little earlier, I'm not sure. So when you go shopping for the home, I give Jill this piece of paper that says you're pre-approved through movement mortgage up to $350,000. Go have fun. It's a blank check. So Jill knows how much that client can buy or purchase. She has confidence that they're already pre-approved. And a lot of those listing agents, you know what the first thing they do whenever they're thinking about who they're going to sell a home to? They call me and they say, how solid is this deal? And I say, it's great. We've already got it all figured out. You don't have to worry about this client. It's pre-underwritten, which is great.
Yeah, that is that, you're able to do all that in advance, and, you do the pre-approval, and it works out beautifully, because I've worked with you on several transactions like that. So it has worked out. So, and then as far as getting hold of myself, I will also put this in the comments. I am at the email is epichomecoach@gmail.com, or you can text or call me at 813-417-0192. Gary, I wanted to thank you so much for being on the discussion today, and you've helped out so much. You've actually given me a lot of information that I didn't realize before as well. And so it was a very, very good time to spend with you. And I'm so glad that you got this chance.
you. And by the way, if you want to check out my website, it's movement.com/Gary.Parsons. Real easy. Goes to my website. You can actually do an application there.
Yeah, the convenience of working online. So it's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think this ends it for our part one. Stay tuned for part two. And let's get moving on this, because every day I feel like I know as a buyer, when I was a buyer myself, every day renting, I was just losing too much. So let's,
Jill, I want to thank you for the opportunity to work with you. It's a pleasure, and for allowing me to speak with you today.
Great. I hope that the audience has a wonderful day, and we hear from you soon. Have a great one. Bye-bye.